as you can see, quite a few battles here. And like I said before, we pretty much do have to do all of these as we're using Randy. As you can see from his adrenaline, he has a little over half adrenaline left, even though we haven't been using it very much here. That's just the case that he has so little. You tag a couple traps, and he's almost out. If we were using, say, Michelle, we could probably just skip all of these fights in the first place. And I accidentally ran into that one there. The traps in the vegetable section are pretty obvious. They're either the oversized fruits and vegetables, or they could come from those piles of slop in the middle of the floor that are there for some reason. So it's not really so much that there are hidden traps in this place. And I was wondering if perhaps Randy could, oh, actually, there's one more trap we missed. If we went down a different aisle... Yes, if we went down a different aisle, then we would have encountered those killer carrots. So I was just wondering if maybe Randy should stuff that money into his pockets a little bit better, as they seem to be getting jostled out of him from the slightest hit. But anyway, here we are in this rather large area in which we're about to do one of the toughest fight scenes in the game. Right, so we have to take on 3 worms at a time, and this one is pretty difficult. It's not that difficult to fight one worm, but to try to keep track of what 3 worms are doing all at once is pretty hard, especially because when one worm gets into a position for you to get a hit on, it's quite frequent that before you can hit it, another worm will come up out of the ground and stop you. So this one you do have to take your time with. You don't want to rush in, especially when all 3 worms are grouped together in one place. If you get one worm on one side of the area and the other 2 on the other side, that is the ideal situation. And of course our bleeding is at the point where running is going to increase it, but we can't actually do anything about that, because more so than many of the fights we've already done, this is a fight that does require a lot of running around. Otherwise you are going to get comboed by these worms. That's one down, so of course as you kill one worm, the fight becomes much easier, as now you only have to keep track of where 2 worms are. That's 2 down, and as you saw, I took a hit at the same time that I downed that worm. But only 1 worm is left now, so this will be quite easy. As you may have noticed, we haven't actually encountered any new kinds of enemies so far in this level. That's going to change pretty soon, as we will encounter a certain special kind of enemy quite soon that we have not seen before. And as you can see, Randy did take a beating in that fight. His bleeding is halfway up. But as you can also see, his health did not deplete as much of as his bleeding raised up. That's because he has higher stamina. Now, we are now approaching the world's most uninviting elevator, but we can't go up there right now because we don't have enough money to pass that checkpoint. Instead, we have to notice that there is a little gap here on the left side of the screen. That'll take us to a hidden hallway. This leads to the first safe that the memo at the beginning of the level talked about. Now, the first safe, according to the memo, was near grass, and I said that clue didn't really mean anything, and as you can see, there's no grass around here, and this is where the first safe is, so I don't know what that clue was talking about. But this door will take us to Cashman's office, and there's Cashman splattered on the wall. As you can see, the cops must have been using some pretty powerful weaponry when they came in here, because there's not too much left of them. This is Cashman's earthly body, mind you. This is not his reincarnated body that the narrator said that he now had, lurking somewhere else in the department store. You may have noticed very quickly there, the horror monitor said that there was a weapon. And yes, there is a second weapon in this level. So I ate 6 trees is the phrase to unlock money, so that's what we're going to use to open the safe. And there really isn't too much left of Cashman at all. Right, so that's the other memo. I ate 6 trees is the password. So we're going to go to this calculator that's in Cashman's hand, and we're going to enter I ate 6 threes. And Cashman's money is now ours. Despite Cashman's efforts, we're taking his $100,000 and there's nothing he can do about that. But now, let's take a look at what this was all about over here. Whoa! And now we've encountered a new kind of enemy, these spiders that work much the same way as the meat works. Actually, this was not the special enemy I was talking about. That's going to be a little later. But this is a new enemy for this level. We don't see them too much. Like I said, they operate pretty much the same way the meat does. They're small, so it's difficult to hit them with the machete. I'm sorry, the hatchet, I should say. And they sort of jump at you. Not too much of a threat. Doesn't take too many hits to bring them down. Again, we could have just used the helipad, but I wanted the adrenaline back. And the reason we wanted to go over into this section of the room is for this, the machine gun. So yes, there are guns in this game, and we now have one. The gun actually isn't that powerful. It's not as strong as the melee weapons, but of course, the reason to use the gun is for its range, as we'll be seeing later on. But now that we have that extra $100,000, it means that we can now enter past the first checkpoint. So we're going to head back to the elevator. And next time on Let's Play ILLBLEED, we're going to go up to the elevator, which is going to take us to the next section of the department store, the toy aisle.